Let's go. Sach and I studied business at university for 4 years.
I became a venture capitalist.
And I became a consultant at Deloitte.
And now we probably think that our jobs could have been replaced by AI agents.
Yeah, when I think about what I was doing at Deloitte, I was doing things like presentations, formatting, Excel modeling, and I look back and I'm questioning myself, could an agent do all of my job for me?
AI agents are finally here.
This is the year of AI agents.
I think in the future, every business is going to have an AI agent.
That you'll be able to take the agents and they'll start to work together.
The reason why people are so excited about agents is because we really want AI to be able to do the work.
This isn't sci-fi. This is actually happening right now, and it's a new breakthrough called AI agents. But what's even more interesting is that it's not just happening in Silicon Valley. There's a company right here in Sydney, Australia, that is at the forefront of the AI agent revolution. How does a small Australian startup take on the trillion-dollar giants like Google, Microsoft, and OpenAI? And how do they maybe win?
What we're talking about is the rise of AI agents. Are they going to replace you or are they going to augment you?
Everyone for the past 2, 3, 4 years has been talking a lot more about AI.
We're going to launch our first agent.
AI is going to affect every country, everybody in the world.
The opportunity for agents is gigantic.
What if we told you that the next coworker you onboard doesn't need to sleep, doesn't need to eat, and is working 24/7?
And it might literally be better at your job than you are. And this is not a movie plot, this is real, it's happening right now.
So we went to the team that are building these agents, not just in theory, but in production right here, right now.
And the number one question we had to ask first is a simple question: what actually is an AI agent?
An AI agent is an autonomous, reasoning digital worker.
A model that is able to perform an action for you.
It's essentially almost like an AI employee, AI coworker.
They can actually think for themselves beyond what rules or guidelines we've put in for them.
The more it does a task, the better it gets, and it doesn't need to sleep.
I really think it's going to change the world.
So I think we're in for years of just incredible creativity.
So I think we're going to live in a world where there are going to be hundreds of millions of billions of different AI agents.
We're going to see that when you log into Slack, you're not just talking to your human coworkers, you're also talking to your AI coworkers.
Okay, autonomous workers, learning machines, this isn't just Siri on steroids.
And these things are really, really powerful.
So how did AI agents go from theory to making headlines?
Well, it all started with this thing called LangChain, and quite quickly it went really, really viral.
AI agent narrative really started to take off in early 2023.
I think when LangChain came out, where people were like, oh, okay, we can chain these LLMs together and maybe have them use tools, and that can deliver some really interesting features.
It took Twitter by storm. So everyone was trying to build these AI chains that could help you order a pizza, could help you do really deep research.
Already beginning to happen is text to action. And what that is write me a piece of software to do something, right? You just say it. I mean, can you imagine having programmers that actually do what you say you want? And it does it 24 hours a day.
It learns like a human being would learn.
These systems will get powerful enough that you'll be able to take the agents and they'll start to work together, right? So your agent and my agent and her agent and his agent will all combine to solve a new problem.
Suddenly AI agents could do research, order food, and chain different tasks together.
And people realize that this might literally change the way that we work forever.
But hype always comes with fear, and so we had to ask, what are the jobs that are at risk right now?
And yeah, people are really honest here.
The jobs will definitely change. The way AI agents are moving right now, looking 10 years into the future, things are going to be very, very different.
I do worry about more the midterm of how people will adapt as jobs start shifting to be more automated, and yes, people have less of that regular routine to see themselves through their day.
I have no idea if I'll even have a job in 10 years, and how that's going to change my life in the next 10 years is something that already started to weigh on me. As a person who's still early in your career, what sort of job should you go into? And also, when you have kids one day, what can you actually teach your kids when they have such a great AI assistant that they can learn from?
So the people who were writing software, they're gone. It's bad news for employment, and it's bad news for people who are disrupted.
The white-collar jobs will go a lot faster. Blue-collar job maybe a little slower.
My worst fears are that we, the field, the technology, the industry, cause significant harm to the world.
our world and our society is constantly powered by change. It's constantly powered by innovation that comes forward and upends the kind of comfortable status quo. And if we aren't ready or prepared to accept that that change is going to happen, well, it's going to happen to us rather than for us. These days, there is a job called social media manager, which many people have, and it's a very important vocation, and it did not exist 15 years ago. The whole arc of human history and what humans have done has been all about moving forward and finding ways to move forward and change things for the better.
By bringing in automation, by making people even more productive, by making teams more productive, we're going to see a much more flourished world. That does not mean less jobs, actually. What that means is you're going to get more diversity in goods and services created. The people that otherwise would have been a part of that 100-person team will just create another 100-person team. So what we're going to see is more goods and services being produced, more diversity, more competition, and that's great for the economy, that's great for humanity, because all the kind of different, very unique, personalized stuff that I'm looking for now can actually potentially be produced.
And we're not just talking about job titles here, we're talking about identity, a sense of purpose, and what humans have done since the dawn of civilization.
Yeah, there's a lot to answer here. It's like, what do you teach your kids? What do you retrain in? What does a job in the future actually mean?
One of the world's buzziest startups is making our AI-powered future feel more real than ever before.
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
We've made it so that you can program a GPT just by having a conversation.
Like, I did not expect ChatGPT to get so good.
So Adam, I remember when ChatGPT first came out, we were in our moldy share house in the inner city of Sydney. What were your first kind of reactions when you first played around with it?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a mix of excitement and fear. The excitement because I could do my job so much quicker, just like the basic things about research, 10x your job. And there's sort of fear because eventually you start using AI so much, and it's like, if your boss realizes you're using AI for 90% of your job, then it's like, are you replaceable? Are you gonna ever have a job in that industry?
ChatGPT being released in 2022 was a pretty crazy moment here at Relevance, because that was probably the first crack into the mainstream where people started to really come to us and show a lot of interest in the various things we're working on.
We've been working on this for a few years now, hoping that the market will recognize the need for a technology and solution like this.
Everyone started knocking on our door. They had what I called at the time this existential AI crisis, where they were like, we need AI in our company, tell us how.
How do we scale the things that we do today for the future with this new wave of technology?
And we kind of just had this moment where we realized we needed to go to San Francisco and figure out what was going on. I remember the day really clearly. We were all in a room in San Francisco. We were doing the classic founder thing, just three of us in there, stressed, coding, building prototypes, trying to figure out what our technology should really be used for. And I remember Jacky tapping me and Dan on the shoulder, and he said, guys, I've figured it out.
We realized, okay, we need to pretty much, pivot as hard as we can, burn the ships, and really just focus on this as much as possible. I know the market is saying AI agents is a fad, AI agents doesn't work, etc. This is all just like a demo, but if you kind of think about it more from a first principle lens, and you think about like how tools are much more of the supporting act for agents, and how as you make tools better and how LLMs get better, agents will just naturally get better.
We predicted that enterprise productivity is going to rely on agents, and that subject matter experts are going to be the crucial piece in making sure that agents can produce value. Relevance enables organizations to deliver on that with an AI workforce.
I remember rolling over and he showed us the first prototype of an agent using some of the tooling on our platform. It was pretty simple, but straight away I realized, oh, this is it.
When people ask us questions like how are you going to go up against like the giants, like the Googles, the OpenAIs, the Microsofts, etc. At the end of the day, we also just say, come at us. So yeah, we're not fearless in terms of like competing against this space, because we're so passionate about it, and we're very much all have a winning mentality. I really like to win, so I want us to make sure that we can win, and I believe we can win.
Whether you're starting and scaling your company's security programs, demonstrating top-notch security practices and establishing trust is now more important than ever.
Vanta automates compliance for global frameworks like ISO 27001 and SOC 2, and the latest Australian frameworks like CPS 234 and Essential 8, saving you time and money while helping you build trust with your customers.
Over 8,000 global companies like Atlassian, FireAnt, Handle, and Tactic.io use Vanta to manage risk and prove security in real time.
Our audience gets a special offer of $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com.au/Sachin and Adam.
They pivoted, they burned all the boats, and they went all in on building AI agents.
Yeah, and this wasn't just hype, this was like genuine conviction.
And this conviction, this big bet, it paid off. Relevance ended up raising $15 million.
And this wasn't to build some minor tool, but this was to build the world's first workforce of AI agents.
So then we raised our Series A, around $15 million. And what was so great about that moment is that we all suddenly had this really specific conviction, and it was so clearly the right time to double down on that, to scale it, and we've been on that journey ever since.
We led this Series A round in 2023. Our hope at that time, and still is our hope now, is that we thought that Relevance one day would build the biggest repository of AI tools and agents built by domain experts.
But the second that Relevance AI stepped on the gas, so did everyone else.
Yeah, the market became noisy and the race was well and truly on.
Amazon investing in another $4 billion in Anthropic.
Microsoft is now OpenAI's main commercial partner.
I'm super proud and excited to announce the launch of the Gemini era.
Siri can tap into ChatGPT's expertise when it might be helpful for you.
So they built Bosch, an AI sales agent.
And I guess, what if this is the point of it all? It's not about AI just taking your job, but it's about AI helping you get promoted because you can do more with less.
After we created that first agent prototype, we wanted to figure out what is an actual use case in the real world, the real business world, that people would pay a lot of money for, that agents can solve. So we really quickly honed in on sales as a high potential use case for AI agents. We started building what we called Bosch.
What we actually ended up seeing was that actually the current workforce is highly inefficient in terms of how it's constructed. So if you think about, for example, like sales, there is BD, BDRs/SDRs. They essentially create meetings for account executives. So BDRs, in its current state, very boring and repetitive tasks, right? Pretty much cold calling, randomly, trying to figure out how can you get more meetings and more potential customers through the door. They can't actually promote these people unless that meeting is hit. Account executive, much more exciting role, where you're actually talking to customers directly, talking about their problems. Turns out, if you actually help automate a lot of the BD role, you don't actually just, displace a whole bunch of people, right? You actually allow them the opportunity to be promoted to account executive and actually also open up more work that needs to be done.
Right now, there's 20, 30 vertical agent companies building sales agents, but literally we might have been the first people in the world to start that process.
And by 2024, agents had gone well and truly global and viral. Salesforce was building Agentforce at this time.
And Relevance were holding their ground and even winning deals head to head, which is pretty phenomenal.
I think 2024, in the context of AI agents, was the year of enterprise adoption. So that was the first year we saw really big companies like Salesforce, they almost have completely rebranded to be an AI agent business.
There's a lot of talk about Agentforce.
Agentforce, of course. Agentforce will be.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Agentforce.
We're talking about an agent revolution. Agents with the power to act on behalf of you and your business.
Because everyone has seen this giant opportunity of enabling anyone to do any task, you have much more significant competition, not just from startups, but from incumbents. And this feels like the holy grail for a lot of model builders. And so you are competing with the folks that are producing these models, and they are very well capitalized with a lot of really great talent.
If horizontal agent platforms become the norm and agents are running tasks across things like Slack, WhatsApp, and Google Drive, this is basically the equivalent of a full-time executive assistant. And from what I'm seeing with agents, they are already dangerously close to replacing a lot of the junior roles. Things like admin, research, sales, modeling, a lot of the things that juniors do, agents are almost just as good at. I think back to the junior consultants at Deloitte, and honestly, I think a lot of them can be replaced really soon. But this also raises a much bigger question. In this global arms race to build AI the fastest, how does a startup in Sydney compete with the trillion-dollar companies like Google and Microsoft and the Goliaths like OpenAI?
We are definitely in an AI hype cycle.
Microsoft, Alphabet, and Meta all outlining plans to spend tens of billions a quarter to develop AI products.
We have literally trillions of dollars being invested in AI.
We're not afraid of competition. In fact, we embrace it. If there's competition, there's demand, right? And we're winning against a lot of these competitions. We've gone up head-to-head against companies like Agentforce and won many times. And why we're winning is because we have this core kind of customer obsession. And more so than even just customer obsession, we want to get our agents actually in production. How many people are using agents? How many of them are in production? How many of them are actually working for our customers? That's the number one thing.
I think founders gravitate towards starting horizontal AI platforms because the opportunity is so extensive, and the idea of having one platform to complete so many tasks is very, very appealing.
Relevance AI thinks about what the big companies like Anthropic and OpenAI are doing. What they're trying to be is be completely model agnostic. I think one thing that Relevance is really trying to do is, again, make it completely no code.
To build an agent platform that really delivers value, it can't be locked into a platform, right? Imagine you hired someone and they were like, I can only work on Google Suite. I can't, you're using Notion, I'm out of here, right? That's just not how work works. Agents have to be thought about more like we think about our team than we think about our software. And so we are of a fundamental belief that the winner in this space will be a platform that's not tied into any one vendor, that's horizontal, and we think that should be us.
We actively chose to be a more horizontal platform. We strongly believe in this, and this is why we call ourselves the AI workforce company, not the AI agent company. The more diverse agents you have, the better your AI workforce is going to become.
So how does a startup from Sydney, Australia compete with global giants?
Yeah, I think that's one of the fundamental questions. And I think a lot of it comes down to startup velocity. When you're this young, scrappy company, you can just move and ship faster.
We've opened up an office right here in San Francisco because we felt it was time to be even closer to more of our customers. Now that we're in San Francisco, we can listen to more people, help them succeed better, and essentially ensure that we're delivering on our promise.
I would say how we're going to go up against the competition, a lot of it is going to be down to the Relevance DNA, making sure that we embrace our values.
What we need to keep doing if we're going to win this race is stay really focused on moving very, very fast. We can never slow down. We have to be extremely quick. It's what you have to do to win in this space.
They move faster, they try higher, sharper, and they just ship more product.
And they're not afraid to break things on the way.
One of the sort of timeless advantages that startups and smaller companies have over kind of big tech and established and behemoth companies is really agility. By the time you've become a big publicly listed company, you're actually held back in a number of ways. And this is something that I'd experienced firsthand. At Google, there was sort of a bit of a joke of if you didn't have a product that was going to hit 1 billion users, the founders wouldn't care. And a lot of your internal decision making is often around, well, how do we make sure we don't kill off our cash cow? That can instill a conservativeness in decision making, but also sometimes internal conflict. Here at Relevance, we really have the advantage of being able to stay very nimble, being able to be extremely responsive to the rapidly changing and evolving market.
We're always listening, we're always improving, and that we are here to power any organization with the challenges of the future and ensure that an AI workforce is delivering real value to their business.
There may be some larger company that has some distribution advantage, but I don't know, large companies are slow and they lack conviction.
And when we actually visited Relevance, things were moving really fast.
Yeah, they were expanding globally to Silicon Valley, new customers, big contracts, real traction.
And suddenly this team from Sydney, Australia wasn't just catching up.
They were leading.
But this isn't just about Relevance.
This is about how we fundamentally work, live, and adapt together with AI.
We think that enterprises in some way are adopting AI agents much quicker than we've expected. I hope that Relevance becomes $1 billion company and beyond. And I think it would be incredible for the Aussie ecosystem. So the Aussie ecosystem has been punching above its weight for a long time now, especially in SaaS.
There's so much to be excited about, but if I think about what anxiety I have going forward, I think there's a lot of question marks over, what does AGI mean? What are OpenAI hiding? What's the next Anthropic release? I'm really proud of the fact that Relevance AI is based out of Sydney. Particularly builders in the AI space is honestly just as good as it is in SF, maybe slightly smaller, but the density of talent is insane here, and I really believe that there can be many big success stories out of Sydney in this AI space, and obviously I believe Relevance is going to be one of those.
I think what makes me excited about Relevance AI is spending time with the founders. I think they're not only very energized, but just very sharp and bright. It's more about, for me, the talent and excitement around the talent. And I've also really loved using their platform. I used it when I worked at SquarePeg for a bunch of kind of automations, and yeah, I think they've built a really interesting product.
Whether you're building a company or a student or just curious, this stuff matters for everyone.
Because agents aren't coming for your job, but they're coming to change it. And this stuff has happened before. The internet rapidly restructured the workforce, and AI is going to do the same thing.
If you're curious about where AI goes next, follow along.
And if you're building something crazy, you know where to find us.
See you in the next one.